Shalom, all praises to Yahawah Bahashem, YAHAWASHI Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and elders of GMS who do well, peace, and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Even Yahawashai Knew He Would Be Betrayed. And ultimately, the sentiment of this lesson, is for believers that are coming into this walk, and maybe your family members have turned on you because you stopped eating pork, or whatever it is that you did because you came into this truth, and changed your life, or even your woman, turned on you or something like that because you came into this truth, and I didn't get that precept, but I'll get it. But, we're all, going through the same thing pretty much. I know like some individuals are heavy, on loving their family, right? Which everyone should, love their family. But some people do like what is it, family reunions, and it's just a very I know like Levi, the Haitians, even like Ephraim, Issachar and whatnot, they're used to like living together in the homes and whatnot, just being, family, and all of that. So people are close with their families, but you come into this truth, and the scripture say the Most High, came to separate and divide, which I didn't get that scripture also. I'm gonna pull that one up, but I'm gonna get this one for Micah. What is it? 3, believe, or is it 7? Right. For your woman, because you could have, in the coming days, a woman sell you out because she's hungry or something like that. So these are things that we just have to be mindful of. And what I'm gonna get back at these two precepts is Yahweh Shai knew, uh, from the beginning that someone was gonna betray him, but he knew that it had to happen. All right, and we should have the same mindset of just walking like, let just let it happen. Whatever the Most High Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua got planned for us to let it, just let it happen, basically. And don't let it take you out of the truth, or think about it too heavy, like now your family don't love you no more, your girl turning on you, or whatever the case may be. All right, so this is Micah 7:10. It says, then she that is it's like it down with the other precept. Oh, the separation. Okay, bear with me 1 second. All right, so Micah 7:10, it says, then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shah thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the mire in the streets. Right, because you come into this truth, you know, and even personally, my brother, when I came into this truth, eventually down the line, at one point, he told me, he said, I see what you're doing, but I don't see how it's benefiting you. I don't see that God is, making it better for you or something like that. I guess he, would probably expect money, or, some type of something to happen where he can say, oh, let me go this is the way, but we're storing up treasures in heaven, and that's just that we have to know that, which I explained all that to him, but people, I guess they look for the immediate return on their investment, basically. And like I said, my brother didn't see anything, so I guess he's not really feeling it. But whatever the case may be, your woman too, she might do those slick shots. You say you're an Israelite now, your car break down, and you can think about Job's wife. When everything was happening to Job, she told him to curse the Most High and die, because Job was going through complete hell. So your woman, your car breakdown, she's like, yo, where the God at? You say you switched and you did all this new shit. Where how did the car break down? You know, and that is how people think. I know my mom. She has a friend that's the friend knows that she's an Israelite, basically. All right. And her husband, he was a pastor, and he found out he was an Israelite. So that little situation is going or whatever. But I know that the lady, the woman or whatever, she got sick, and she didn't think she was gonna be able to get sick now that she was, doing this walk. I think they were like new or whatever the case may be. They had recently found out, so she got sick, and she was like, it shouldn't be that way, whatever the case may be. Or she could have thought that like she did something wrong or whatever the case may be. But we're in these chains of darkness. All right, so we gonna get sick and whatnot. So that's just some examples right there. But yeah, your family members and whatnot, they will turn on, woman and all of that. Luke 12 and 53 or 51. Just going into the the division that's going to be sent here. Right. It says, anointed, but it's talking about Yahushua. Yahushua divides men. Right. YAHAWASHI Yahushua. All right. Luke 12 and 49 says, I am come to send fire on the earth. And what will I if it be already kindled? Right. So the Most High wants separation. He wants damage. Right. YAHAWASHI Yahushua. He wants turmoil and chaos on this place. Right. Because that's how the elect are being tried in the fire. All right. I'm trying to think of a precept to go with that. Yeah, Isaiah 13 and 12 says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, right? Even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, right? And that's us being tried and put to the test, refined as fine gold. All right. So going back over here, says Luke 12 and 50, it says, but I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I screaming till it be accomplished? Right. So, Yahushua had to, you know, let me see. Right, right. Okay, so he had what he had before him, right? Him to be crucified, put up on the cross and risen the third day, and all of that. He had a lot to go through, right? And then come back and basically set up that righteous vengeance, right? That recompense to these devils, right? It says, for from henceforth there shall be five in one house divided, three against two, and two against three. All right, so it's already known that there's going to be division, right, and family separation. It says the father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter against the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a lot of things are going to happen because you may, want to eat a certain thing, and they want to eat a certain thing. They may have an event that they might be going to on the Sabbath, and you may not be going to the event on the Sabbath. So little divisions like that can happen, and all that's going to do is increase basically as times get harder, right? And this government is coming after the elect, right, members, those of us that know this truth and whatnot. They start doing wars and threatening shit your own family members who are weaker, right, lack the faith of what is it, complacent in crimes, whatever the case may be, so he might start saying, well, yeah, he's here, whatever the case may be. Especially you look outside, you see Gestapo gangs, guns everywhere, bullets everywhere, Black Hawk, all of that extra shit. People are gonna be terrified. All right, so you should be mindful of that, and know that it's okay. This is John 13 and 21. Now Yahweh knew that he would be betrayed, and he knew that it must be done, you know. So this is comfort for even us, where it comes down the line that these things may happen to us, certain individuals it may happen to. Right? When Yahushua, John 13:21, when Yahushua had thus said, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. So when you got to understand that when you look at these people that you deal with that's not in this truth, your mom, your dad, your sisters and your brothers, a close friend, brothers, whatever the case may be, if they're not in this truth, they're out there in the world. They don't have the same faith and the same belief as you. They don't see the end approaching like that. They probably still waiting for it to get better. You have complete faith because you see the prophecy. You know what's about to happen. You know what needs to happen. You know why all hell is breaking loose and things like that. They don't. You know, John 13:22 says, then the disciples looked one on another, doubting of whom he spake. It says, now there was leaning on Yahawashi's bosom one of his disciples whom Yahawashi loved. I believe it was John, right? Leaning on. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him that he should ask who it should be of whom he's speaking. He then, lying on Yahawashi's breast, said unto him, Lord, who is it? Yahushua answered, it is he it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Yahushua unto him, that thou doest do quickly. No man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. For some of them thought, because Judas had the bag, that Yahushua had said unto him, buy those things that we have need of against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. He then, having received the salt, went immediately out, and it was right. It was night. Sorry. Therefore, when he was going out, Yahushua said, now is the Son of Man glorified, and Yahweh is glorified in him. And even to the point of some brothers getting beheaded, that'd be a moment when, let's say, you get betrayed and you get brought up, and you get beheaded. It was meant to go down that way, however it go down, because we have a lot of elect members listening, that's living with families, that's just not prophets or whatever, just listening, with the parents and whatnot believe, right? The parents already see that they dress a certain way, don't eat certain things, don't go certain places, and all of that. Reading their Bible, praying, I remember some of my family members thought it strange that an individual would go into a room by themselves and close the door to pray. But that's exactly how the scriptures say to pray, But they thought it's strange. But it's right there in the scriptures. So that's how different, we are. Those of us that are in the know and know that's true compared to those that don't know. The little thing that you do is strange. The scripture actually talking about, they think it's strange that you don't go. Let me grab it actually. Now, I'll just get it from one. 1 Peter 4:1, it says, for as much then as Yahushua have suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourself likewise with the same mind. For he that have suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of Yahawashi. So now that's what we're doing, right? And that's what we're different. We're set apart, right, from the world. It says, for the time past of our life may suffice us to have brought the will of the Gentiles, right? So we live like regular people, right? Just doing whatever the hell we wanted to, basically. When we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, rebellings, banqueting, abominable idolatries. It says, wherein they think it strange that we went not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil. So that's where we at now. Your people, even if you don't see it, they probably talk behind your back, especially you sisters, If you're a sincere sister, I can imagine the way you're dressing. If you're dressing modestly, and you carry yourself a different way, women or your aunties and grandmas and all of that might find it strange, right? That you just not out here trying to get a whole board, right? That you're not using the goods that your mama gave, so to speak, like that. You're trying to cover up and save it, save that for someone, better, for your husband, basically. They think it's strange, speaking evil of you, Another example, way back before before I even knew the truth, I was going over the Old Testament and whatnot, and I was living with my grandparents. And when I was going over sex, I didn't understand. I was like, damn, so I gotta stop having sex, and I gotta wait. Mind you, I had already had sex, but I was like, I gotta wait. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna wait. Let me find somebody with a kiss and be. And then my grandma found that strange. I forgot how the hell she found out, because I think I was always open about like speaking about the Bible and whatnot, because I was always into the Bible. Anybody I came across, I was asking, you read the Bible? Just to kind of see who I'm dealing with, really, you know. But anyway, she was telling, at one point, I started having headaches. And she told me, that it's because I started having sex. That's what she told me, So basically, she found it strange that I wasn't doing that anymore, you know. But anyway, because we can have sex, regardless of what, but because I used the Bible and I said, such and such and such and such, whatever the case may be, she just thought it was strange, and that her immediate thing was it's because you ain't having sex somewhere, which what that wasn't it, you know what I mean? But anyway, so they first Peter 4:4, wherein they think it strange that you are not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil. All right, who shall give an account to him that is ready to judge the quick, the dead? All right, we get this NLT. But remember that they will have to face Yahweh, who stands ready to judge everyone, both the living and the dead. All right. So the Most High gonna deal with them, and that's beautiful because, and Matthew 10, I believe is gonna go along with that. I just saw Gabriel right now. Really, I wanted to get this last Second Timothy, but I'll get it now. I'll just say our second. Sorry. So where was that? So yeah, John, he knew that Judas would betray him. Now this is Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. It says, "Behold, speak down the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord YAHAWASHI, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. For not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in unfaithfulness." Again, that's going to the fact that who's gonna, they gotta see the Most High about that, about their unbelief. Right. And that's what the incredulity is, the unbelief. So we can't let it trouble us, right? We don't got to think about the imaginations and whatnot, because even maybe some members of the hopeful elect, that's around their family members heard the brothers say before, like, reading, scriptures where, the brother shall betray the mother, and all of those different scriptures. And we think about, what you're going to do, you know, just trust Yahweh, watching out shine. He's going to be your guide, as Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, you know, goes into towards the end, which I forgot where. Good. As a matter of fact, it goes into it, um, because they could break into your house and take you away. This is Second Ezra chapter 16, in verse 16. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. They shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols." Right? In view of the whole elect, right, and you're a believer, I wouldn't say you're idle, you know. That's for like 2/3 of you that just don't know the hell going on. They're idle, right? You're believing, you're following along in the scriptures. You might even like make garments or send something in, wherever the case may be. It says, verse 16, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, like ice and things, the government, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things up unto idols," ultimately MOTB, "and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision." and reproach and trodden underfoot. Mark says, "For there shall be in every place in the next city a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord YAHAWASHI, all Israelites. They shall be like madmen sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of the houses. Then shall they be known who are my children, and they shall be tried at the golden fire." Okay, so we've been tried, your faith been tried, and whatnot. It says, "Hear, O ye my beloved, said the Lord YAHAWASHI, shall behold the days of trouble are at hand. God will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, nor doubt, for YAHAWASHI is your God." Right, that's the point. "And the God of them who keep my commandments and precepts, said the Lord YAHAWASHI, let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves." All right. So that's the point. The Most High is going to be your God. So you trust, you just trust the process. You trust the Most High, YAHAWASHI. We all have different lots. It's Matthew 10 and 16. It says, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues." So it says, beware of men. Okay. So you have a human being, whether male or female, and then going down to 3, it says with the added notion of weakness. And I like that because it's who's gonna weak individuals are gonna deliver us from, people that are not in the truth, right? It says with the added notation of weakness by which man is led into a mistake or prompted to sin. All right. So, weak individuals, people that's not in the truth, that don't know what's going on. So you gotta be grateful. You walk circumspect, right? These individuals around us, they're in La La Land, as Isaiah 60 goes into, gross darkness to people. Matthew 10 and 17, "But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And you shall be brought before governors and kings for my name, for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for they shall be given you in that same hour what you shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And he shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved." Right, so that's the point, the division, which the disciples were divided. Well, the one, Judas, who got replaced by Matthias, you know, it needed to happen. So we're in the same lot where these certain things is going to need to happen too. Verse 23 says, "But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another, for where I sent you, you shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man become." You know, so individuals that could, leave. I know some brothers that have moved out of their parents' house and then did their own thing, moved, did their own little situation, basically things like that. And how we do is we're teaching in a spot and there's a problem there, we will move that spot, NLT says, "When you are persecuted in one town, flee to the next. I tell you the truth, the Son of Man will return before you have reached all the towns of Israel." And what this is going into is that the walking around, traveling and things like that, because the word is going to go to the whole world, right? But that it goes to the whole world through the World Wide Web, right? That's what we got the World Wide Web for. Right? We ain't going to walk to, Australia, So 2 Timothy 2 and I'll start at 10. It says, "Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is the YAHAWASHI, or eternal glory." So we we endure what we have to endure, especially those on the front line, you know, preaching, prophesying, and whatnot, dealing with Satan and all of that. We endure these things because we're feeding the sheep. That the sheep may be fed, which is the hope of the elect, right? It is a faithful saying. For if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. Right. So we're dead. Constantly attacked. Different things like that. Suffering just like Yahushua suffered, so we may live with him. It says if we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us. If we believe not, yet he abideth faithful, we cannot deny himself. And that's another thing. You can't let the unbelief of your family members and things like that trouble you. You have to be like Yahushua. It says, if we are unfaithful, he remains faithful, or he cannot deny who he is. Right? So Yahushua, all he gonna do is if we deny him, he's gonna deny us. Right? If we don't believe he's still gonna do what he needs to do because he's Yahushua. And if you call yourself a hopeful elect member, you need to do what you need to do because you're a hopeful elect member. You can't let the next person, unbelief knock you off your pivot, what you got going on. You just got to keep moving. Yahushua was able to move and do and operate for a while. He even washed Judas' feet. Then he washed the disciples' feet. You know, he knew who Judas was. You know, so that's how we got to move. All right. So, hey, Lord willing, read a 5 lesson. Shalom to the whole elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.